guys, welcome to the 992 Porsche 911 GT3. Behind me are two different ones, but they're actually kind of the polar opposites of each other. We're gonna drive both of them. We're gonna see what they're like, what the differences are, and maybe which one's better. Maybe, maybe they're both good for different reasons. We'll kind of check it out. But the first one right here is Paint to Sample GTS Red. This one is PDK, has carbon ceramic brakes, and this one has a crazy aftermarket exhaust from Soul Performance. This thing sounds absolutely nuts. Next to it is another paint sample color. This one is black olive. This one is a manual car, completely stock. It's actually only about like 300 kilometers on it, so it's brand new. It probably won't stay stock, but while we drive it, it is gonna be stock. So first we're gonna drive the GTS Red one, the PDK, and then we're gonna drive the black olive one, and we're gonna see the differences, see how different they feel, because these are pretty much two polar opposite versions of the 992 GT3s, because you can just option them out in so many ways and do so many different things to them. So yeah, the next two videos we're gonna spend driving them and seeing what they're like. So quick overview of these specs. Obviously you guys have seen Jason's car before on my channel. The black olive car with the black wheels, steel brakes. Of course, both of these cars have the carbon bucket seats, absolute must. This one is still brand new, so it's still stock exhaust. This one, however, is GTS Red, also a paint assemble color. It's got the silver stripes right here and also on the side. This one has a very nice silver wheels, but it has the carbon ceramic brakes. So obviously, once we look at the back, just from the tailpipes, you can see this is definitely not stock. We're gonna hear it in the video. And this one right here is still stock, but it's probably not gonna stay that way. So yeah, we're gonna drive these two back to back. I don't know which one I like better. People are saying the PDK might be a little bit better. I'm an old-fashioned manual guy, but I might change my mind here. Welcome to the 992 GT3. No, they don't normally all sound like that. This one has a crazy, I believe it's called Soul Performance race exhaust. It is potentially the loudest car I have ever driven, which is making it a lot of fun. And especially for a car that's this serious, it puts a huge smile on your face. So yesterday I dropped off the 997 GT3 RS at about 5 p.m. and at about 10 p.m. I went and I picked this up. So now we're talking kind of about complete polar opposite cars that just, from the manual GT3 RS, which is very raw, like, before the electric steering, before all these, not all the assists, but, it's a very raw driver-focused car, to where this is just a car that Porsche kind of went out and showed what they can do when they really try to and they really want to make a good track car. Obviously, this is not the RS model because the RS model has not been released yet, but this is as close we're going to get until that is out. So I've been driving this car, probably so far I put about 30 kilometers on it. I picked it up last night. I didn't really push it last night because obviously with this exhaust, I kind of felt bad. I didn't want to start waking everybody up, and this is like properly loud. Now, I haven't driven, a dual clutch transmission supercar in quite a while. I don't know why. Just happened to be that recently all the more high-end cars I've been driving have been manuals. So it's kind of nice to be in a dual clutch transmission car, especially a PDK gearbox, which is, the best dual clutch transmission. You have, obviously, you can shift in the middle with the shifter up and down, and actually plus is down, which I really like. Gives you doesn't make it feel like any other car. Or of course you can do the paddle shifters. Now, I didn't know what to expect with this car because I've driven a few 992s. I drove a automatic Carrera S convertible and I drove a manual Targa. And the big problem I had with those cars is when you look at the older 911s, they're kind of very light, very nimble. They have a unique feel to them, and I didn't get any of that when I was in the other 992s. What I got from them was kind of like I'm in a big, not bigger, like a more well-built, more powerful, more sporty Audi S5. And I really didn't like that because I like the driver involvement that you always get with a 911. And when I saw the new GT3, obviously it's bigger, it's a 992 body. It looks a little bit fatter than the 991 or obviously the 997. So I was kind of worried, wasn't a big fan. But as soon as I got into this is a different animal. This is not a regular 992. First of all, you notice how stiff the suspension is. The suspension is stiffer than, you know, the older GT3s. It is like rock solid. There's no roll. The car doesn't feel like an Audi S5. It's back to feeling like a 911. The steering is so tight, so direct. Everywhere I move it, the car kind of goes. Obviously, the gearbox is super like you know, quick. Obviously, it's a PDK. Everything is just so good on this car, so solid. And you know, obviously, I don't know yet what they sound like stock when you drive them. I'm going to be driving a manual one in a few days, and then we'll compare them. But I guess the car normally with a PDK is more of a serious car, more of a car about performance numbers, figures if you're going to track it, obviously. And I feel like with those cars, sometimes it's not a car that normally will put a huge smile on your face if you just drive it normally. This exhaust makes this car just silly and just fun. Even though you don't get the manual, it still feels like a cool car to just, you know, mess around with, have fun driving around. You don't have to necessarily be doing track days and everything. Like, even on the road, it's going to put a smile on your face. And what I was really thinking about this car is, over the years, 911s kind of became from the car with the weird layout, you know, rear engine, whereas everything else was mid or front, that they kind of had to work around balancing them so they're as good as the Ferraris or as good as the Lamborghinis. When you're now looking at the 992 generation, the cars that are actually serious and perform the best, handle the best, and just are the most kind of, you know, tight, best handling cars are the GT3s. The cars are probably more sillier, like the F8s and the 48s and all that. Those are a little bit more loose and not as balanced as something like this, which is just crazy to see how far the 911 has come, especially the GT series cars have come over the years. So you drive this and, you know, there's no such thing as, oh, the weight's all back there and I can't, you know, and the car is moving weird. Like, this is the most steady, most serious, most perfect supercar for performance kind of that you can get today. And I was really shocked. This car feels so light, so nimble with the 992 variation. I thought it's gonna feel like a way bigger car, and it just doesn't. So far I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm gonna take it on the highway right now for the first time and see what it's like there, and see what it's like at higher speeds. So far, I've only driven it like on city streets, pushed it here and there a little bit, but nothing too crazy. Okay, so we're about to merge on the highway. Hopefully, as soon as I merge, I can give it a little bit of gas and see what the acceleration is like. Let's see. Power's pretty good. And the nice thing I like about the GT3 power is, again, this is not a straight line car. 500 horsepower of an inline six is pretty crazy, but this is like more of a handling car. So you have enough power where you're definitely going to get excited, you're going to have a ton of fun, but it's not too much power where the second you press the gas, it just all hell breaks loose and you're gone, and you got to like really watch out. Because I'll call it the GT2 RS, for example. The GT2 RS is stupid fast. 200 horsepower more than this. GT2 RS is just scary fast. This is to the point where you can still mess around with it, have fun, not be too scared, not have to be particularly too careful. You can just kind of drive like a regular sports car, which again, I like. Personally, when you buy these cars, you don't try to, you know, top speed them every chance you get. You want to just have enough fun where you're not going to get in trouble, because with the GT2 RS, you're going to get in trouble. Enough fun where you can get it and you can, you know, go fast, but it's not going to be too fast where if someone catches you, like, you know, it's game over. And something that you can kind of still play around with when there's a little bit of cars around you. And this is that. You don't need more than 500 horsepower in a car like that. This car is about track, this car is about handling, and it's got enough straight line speed to kind of maintain what you need between the corners. So I'm on the DVP right now, which for people who don't live in Toronto, it's like a very windy highway. And the one thing I'm really liking about this new GT3, it's like the smallest difference, but I think the steering wheel is a tiny bit smaller than it used to be, and it feels really good in your hands. Like it feels like tracking if you need to, like, I don't know, it just feels so, like, really, really good. But yeah, I haven't decided yet. The paddle shifters, I feel like, I don't know why, it's kind of like, obviously if you're tracking, you're gonna use the paddle shifters, but they don't feel as satisfying as, like, using the shifter in the middle, even though it's just up and down. Like, I'm really liking the shifter in the middle. But yeah, like, I'm really impressed with this car so far. I didn't think I'm gonna like it too much, to be honest. I was kind of thinking, you know, like, what's the good things I can say about it? Like, because I thought it was gonna be a big, heavy car, and it's not. It feels a lot like the previous generation 911s, a lot tighter actually. So again, there's nothing to really complain about. I'm really liking it. And this one, this exhaust, it sounds so freaking good, and it's so loud though. Like, you can't really drive this car at night in any residential areas because you're just gonna wake everybody up. I don't even know if the audio for this is good. I'm hoping you guys can hear me over the exhaust, because that is like stupid loud. But it feels very good. I'm very interested to see what the differences are going to be between the PDK and the manual. Everybody's been telling me that the manual is actually not that good for this car. I'm a big manual car guy. I don't know if I'll be able to say that I prefer PDK over manual. I can only know that after I drive the manual, but for an automatic car, this is very exciting, very fun for any car. Feels so good. And like, it's so precise. There's just something about a GT3 or even 911s in general, but especially GT3s, you don't get this type of precision really in any other car. It's weird that the car with the weirdest layout has the best precision and just feels the most well built. And this is the biggest change I think the 911s have got in a long time. This is, I think, a bigger change than the 997 to the 991 transition. The interior is completely different. They finally kind of modernized the interior. I don't know how I feel about it, because the one thing I am worried about with the new 992 interior is how is it going to age, because obviously everybody knows anything that has too many screens and stuff usually doesn't tend to age so well. This, what they did is they have the main gauge in the middle, two screens beside it that are showing as if it's two gauges on each side, which is the classic Porsche look for the interior. But I just hope it's going to age well, because when the cars up to like 2019 were, you know, more analog look to them, I feel like they kind of always look like, they don't ever look outdated. But the one thing I do like is the new display screen for like the infotainment. It's a lot bigger, a lot nicer, just feels a lot more well made. The interior overall, like, you press the buttons and everything and it feels so well made. It's a new, like, there hasn't been a change to like 911s in probably 15 years, whatever it is. And it's nice to see like this change. It still feels like you're in a 911 inside, but it is modern. It's keeping up with modern cars. It's just nice to kind of, you know, be in this car, feel everything is still very good quality. They didn't cheap out on anything. That's what I like about Porsche. They're always kind of, they have their standards and they'll never lower them, and they're always just the best built cars. Obviously, you get that with the German engineering, but yeah, you know, like, I'm definitely not disappointed. This is the, like, pretty much the hottest car in the market in the last few years, and it's not disappointing. Okay, so far we talked about how the car drives. It's very good. I mean, it's a new GT3. It's not going to be bad. It's more fun and playful than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be a more serious car than it is. It's still a lot of fun. I don't know if that's because the exhaust is this kind of silly and this loud, but, you know, I'm sure even a regular PDK one, you know, I watched the Chris Harris review, obviously, and he had a ton of fun with the stock one. He even said that sounded really good stock. But the car's really fun, really playful, and honestly, I do think it looks very good. The wing in the back is so crazy that you think it would be a wing out of something like an RS, but this is the wing they just put on the regular GT3, so the car looks absolutely wild. It's definitely not boring. In my opinion, it kind of, like, you know, it took probably a few months for it to kind of you know, settle in with everybody. People were not sure about the design at first, but everybody got used to it, and I think everybody likes it overall. But it's a really good refresh. It looks a lot more aggressive and mean than a 992, but it does look very big. So obviously still being the same size as a 992, you'd think it would feel like a big car. Like I was saying, it doesn't, which is what really probably surprised me the most about this car. But the nice thing is you still get the new interior, which most of it I think is good. Right now, these screens right here look very good. I'm just worried about how they're gonna age. Other than that, the interior, they just kind of refreshed it here. Everything feels very solid. All the buttons are just, they feel very good. They feel honestly better than the last gen. You have the cool armrest here like before, and then very subtle changes to the seat. So obviously these are the carbon seats that we've known since the 918. But in the new generation, in the 992s and even in the GT4 RS, they kind of put like these holes, I guess, so it's a little more ventilated. Your back doesn't get as hot in them, so it's a lot more comfortable than they were before on a hot day, because on a hot day before, it kind of started getting sticky. The steering wheel, I honestly love the steering wheel. It feels so good. It's like a really good size for a steering wheel, really good shape. And then you have the drive modes here, which I think is a really cool looking touch. It's kind of from the 918 as well. Yeah, the only things I wish I had the door handle straps. I'm sure the RSs will have that. Yeah, all the carbon trim, and then a big improvement that they did is the infotainment screen right here. But overall, the car looks so good. I think they lived up to the GT3 name. Definitely not disappointed in the car whatsoever. I'm really interested to see what the manual is going to drive like. So back to the original topic, should you get this car in a PDK or in a manual? Obviously everybody says it feels like it should be manual. I mean, it feels like it should be PDK, and so far from driving it, the PDK just feels right on this car, but we'll never know until we drive the manual, so stay tuned. Tomorrow I'm going to be posting a video driving a manual one, the green one, and we'll kind of compare it. Even though with the aftermarket exhaust and stuff, it will feel a little bit different. It's going to miss that sound, but you know, you can't really go wrong with a manual. But let's see if this car actually should always stay as a automatic, or should we still keep offering a manual? Yeah, the sound from this exhaust is freaking wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Tight turn. Let's see. So good. I feel like it won't be the same actually with an exhaust like this with a manual. I feel like just the shift time and the wait time, like you won't get the pop.
You won't get the whips and the this, that.
Yeah, I feel like this exhaust really works well with the PDK. So I'm interested to see what a PDK with stock exhaust would sound like, but with this exhaust, it's really good. I think this car is so precise, the brakes are so good.
Man. Yeah, that's what I was saying with the manual. I think maybe with this exhaust, the PDK is better.
Yeah, I think so too. It's quick.
Yeah,
It's quick. Like it feels like faster than 500 horsepower.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So it's yeah, it's a good amount of yaw for an NA engine. This is like wild to get that out of a 6-cylinder. Here, let's move here. That sounds freaking crazy. It literally sounds like a race car. Nothing else sounds like this. Oh shit! Oh fuck!
We're good.
Oh,
We're good. I don't think he's going anywhere. I would go this way, huh?
yeah, go on the highway.
Yeah,
Let's go.
maybe just
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah, just in case. We're good.
Oh, well, at least we get an on-ramp test.
Oh, fuck. Thank God you can drive.
Oh, fuck, the suspension's so stiff.
Yeah, it's stiff.
Holy crap. It's stiffer than the old ones. And I think they need to do that to kind of make up for the weight of the car.
The way, yeah.
But it kind of works. Like the handling is great.